Thor sat by the large bay window in the living room. His ears were perked as if on guard and ready to pounce at any minute. He stared out the window with such intensity, it made my 9-year-old daughter Sarah uneasy. "Mom, have you noticed how Thor is just staring out the window? It's kind of freaky," she asks me as I fold laundry nearby. "Baby, he's probably just tracking a squirrel. Who knows?" I tell her without looking up. At this point, a low, deep growl comes from Thor, which makes me stop and look at him. "Thor, what do you see, baby?" I say as I tilt my head to look out the window. It wasn't like Thor to growl low in his throat when no one was around the house, but his eyes were fixed on the far corner of the yard where the bushes bordered the tree line. I stood up and walked over to him to look out. I saw nothing unusual. I look down at Thor. He gives me a look of, "How do you not see this, Mom?" and licks his muzzle. I bend down to give him a kiss and go back to folding laundry. "That dog is just too smart for his own good," my husband David says as he walks into the room with another armful of laundry. We all chuckle at this and continue doing our normal Saturday activities. Thor doesn't respond to the laughter as he normally would. Instead, he let out a soft bark and stood, pacing to the back door and sniffing around the frame, as if he was searching for something. Later on, as we were heading to bed, Thor stayed downstairs guarding the back door, something he's never done before. The next morning, Sarah notices Thor hasn't touched his food. "Mom, Thor hasn't eaten yet," she says as she scratches his ears. I kneel down next to him and look at his nose and check his gums. "He seems okay, hon. He's probably just not that hungry," I say as I stand up and return to grabbing a coffee. As I reach for my cup, Thor bolts to the back door, barking furiously. With his teeth bared, he paws at the door as if trying to get out. "Whoa, boy, what's gotten into you?" David asks as he walks into the kitchen. "I don't know. He's been on edge since yesterday. Maybe we should go outside and check to see what's got him so riled up," I say as I lean against the counter. "It's probably just some animal that's roaming around out there. He's just being a dog," David says, grabbing some toast and taking a bite. At this point, Thor's barking had turned into whining as he sniffs the floor around the door. I tilt my head suspiciously as I look at him for a little bit. The rest of the week was filled with similar incidents of Thor running from the window in the living room to the back door, sniffing and barking. Whenever we let him out to do his business or try to play with him outside, he would spend his time sniffing around the bushes by the tree line. We just chalked it up to him doing what dogs do best and just left him alone. By the following Saturday, we spent the morning busy getting ready for a friend's wedding. I was in the hallway helping Sarah straighten her dress as David fixed his tie in the bathroom mirror. Thor hovered close to us, his posture tense and his eyes darting toward the door at every sound he heard. "Maria, did you lock the back door?" David yells from the bathroom. "Yeah, I did. Stop worrying and hurry up, we're going to be late," I yell back. "Wow, now I know I'm the diva if you're telling me to hurry up," David says, smiling as he grabs his keys. "Okay, buddy, we'll be back in a few hours. Hold down the fort for me, okay?" David says as he rubs Thor's head on the way out. Thor whined softly, his eyes looking sad as we left. The house was quiet as we pulled into the driveway later that night. As David and I take our time getting out, Sarah runs into the house to say hi to Thor. "Mom, Dad, something's wrong with Thor," she yells from the doorway. We run in to find Thor in the middle of the living room, hunched over, his whole body shaking as he lets out sharp, wheezing coughs, his mouth open as if choking on something. "Oh my God," David says, dropping to his knees beside him. "Maria, call the vet. We need to go now." I grab my phone and start dialing as I ran back to the car to start it. David is hot on my heels carrying Thor. The vet met us at the clinic, and within minutes, Thor was taken to the back. We anxiously waited in the waiting room, Sarah crying softly on a chair. After what felt like an eternity, the vet returns with a smile on her face. "David, Maria, we managed to get it out. He was choking on a ring. Quite a big one at that. He's lucky you got home in time," she says as she holds out the ring in her hand. David and I look at each other. I've never seen that ring before. Did you get a new ring?" I ask David as I take the ring from the vet's hand. "No. That doesn't even look like it would fit me," he says, taking it from me and putting it on. He was right. It was too big. He must have found it outside earlier and brought it in to play with, the vet says. Dogs can be hoarders at times. I like to keep him overnight for observation. You can just pick him up tomorrow morning. The following morning, I drive to the vet to get Thor. He was doing much better to my relief. On the drive home, I got him a pup cup for being a good boy overnight for the vet techs. When we got home, Thor bounced out of the car as if nothing happened. He ran around the yard with Sarah, as happy as he can be, but as soon as we entered the house, his demeanor shifts. He froze in the middle of the hallway, ears pinned back, and stands in a predatory stance. "What's wrong, buddy?" I asked, squinting at him. Thor barked sharply and ran to the hall closet. He began sniffing at the bottom of the door, with a low growl at the back of his throat. "That's odd," I say to myself as I inch closer to him. As I reached Thor, I noticed dark spots on the floor leading into the closet. When I looked closer, I see they're blood droplets. "David, come here," I say, grabbing Thor by the collar and taking a step back. "What's wrong, babe?" David says as he steps into the hall. His eyes widen as I point to the blood on the floor. He quickly runs upstairs and comes back down with a bat in his hand. "Stay back. Don't let him go," he says as he steps closer to the closet. He reaches for the handle, and in one quick motion, he opens the door while taking a step back and raising the bat at the ready. At first, he sees nothing but jackets and shoes. Then squinting and leaning in to take a closer look, he sees him, a man hunched over in the back. David tightens his grip on the bat. "Hey, what the hell you doing in my house?" he calls out, but no response. David takes a step closer. "Maria, call the police," he says in a whisper, but I was already on the line with dispatch as soon as I saw the man there. The police arrived quickly with an ambulance and arrest the man. While we were giving statements to the officer, one of the paramedics trots towards us. "Hey, quick question. You didn't happen to see a ring finger and a pinky anywhere in there, did you?" he asks, looking at David. David looks at me before shaking his head. "No? Why?" The paramedic chuckles before saying, "The guy is missing those 2 fingers from his left hand. He passed out from blood loss." David's eyes widen and we both look back at the closet where Thor is now sitting, with just one of the fingers.